What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Topic of Discussion. I am your host, Miles Barron. Without further introduction, let's get right into it. So today I want to speak about guardrails. For people that don't know what guardrails are, let me just give you guys a definition. Guardrails, also known as guardrails, railings, are safety barriers that protect drivers who leave the road. They can deflect vehicles back onto the road, slow them down, or allow them to pass the guardrail. Guardrails can also protect pedestrians and cyclists by separating the roadway from adjacent areas, right? They can be made of steel, aluminum, or concrete. Okay? So I chose guardrail because this is what I'm trying to get at here. When we're walking our path with God, right? And we say, God, I'm going to walk the path that you have laid for me, and I'm going to go in whatever direction it is. And whatever comes with it, the distractions and everything else, I'm going to make sure that I stay true to who I am in your word. I'm going to continue down your path, right? So once we make that decision, there they're guardrails that come up. That's how I look at it. They're guardrails, or you can refer to them as boundaries. We're setting up boundaries, but I'm going to use guardrails to that. So these guardrails are put in our path, right? They're not directly in our path, but they're along the borders, right? To make sure that we don't get drifted or strayed away from our path, right? Because we have the road in front of us. Those guardrails are to protect us from going off of the road. So those guardrails in our life are used, or boundaries are used to protect us from getting led by temptation, led by distractions, or led by anything that can take us off our path with God. So therefore, when we're going on our path and we're following the word and we're following the path that God has for us, we have to make sure that we follow the path. Y'all heard me say this before, that sometimes we need to wear these blinders, right? So pretend like we remove the blinders, right? But at the same time, as we remove these blinders, we still have these guardrails here, and this is for our protection. This is for our protection, and as we grow and as we continue down this path, the guardrails are going to continue, right? So just think of the guardrails going only so far right now, right? And as you continue to believe, you continue your faith, and you continue your walk with God, those guardrails will continue as you go down your path, right? Because now sometimes those guardrails are not there. So we can be going down our path, but it's easy for us to be tempted. It's easy for us to have distractions. It's easy for us to get off our path, right? Because we haven't set up those guardrails or those boundaries along our walk with God. Because now we're still trying to find ourselves. Maybe we're still trying to stray away. And everybody knows that even if you grew up as a kid and you always went to church, or you are always in the church home or Bible study, or always just knew who God was, as you go older, you kind of have to find him for yourself, right? Because your parents can put you in a position that you know God or you've been around God, but as you get older, that's a decision that you have to make on your own. They can't no longer hold your hand and say, hey, look, we're going to church today. Hey, look, I need you to read your Bible. Hey, look, come in here and let's talk about something that I read today. It's your decision, because now as an adult, you start to make your own decisions in life. So with that, it's your decision on the path that you're going to take in life. So therefore, as we take these different roads in life to try to find ourselves, if you find your path and you find yourself along the path of God and the pathway that He wants for you, you're gonna have to, and you're going to have guardrails and boundaries, because now if you're on your walk with God, there are distractions, there are temptations, and it's everything of the world. But when you're walking your path with God, the path is being led into heaven. You're starting from the world, and your path is being led to heaven. So this whole path that I always talk about, saying you got to follow God's path and the road that He has for you, it's literally a road into heaven. So that's the path that we're taking. We're taking a path from the world to heaven. And that path is a lifelong journey, because it's going to last throughout your worldly life. And as you get done with your worldly life, your spirit is going to go into heaven and live an everlasting life with God, because you have followed the path that He has laid for you to get into heaven. So along that path, we're going to have these guardrails. We're going to set these boundaries. So therefore, we're not getting distracted. We're not getting led off the pathway, right? And it takes discipline, right? It takes discipline. So the only difference between guardrails in the world and the guardrails that I'm speaking on is the guardrails are built by our walk. So the longer that we continue our faith, the longer that we continue the path that God has for us, we're going to continue to get guardrails up on both sides of us as we go along our path. So therefore, when we start to get distracted, we bounce back. We bounce back. Where you going? Where you going? You know better. You know better. You should do better. So we go. We hit the guardrail, but now we back on track. Right? It's not saying the guardrail can't be broken or you can't destroy your guardrail, because if you go through your guardrail too hard, you can get off the road. So it's not impossible to break this guardrail, but as you continue your faith and as you grow into the word and put your trust in God, the guardrail is going to become stronger. It can start like a plastic material, or just like the um what I'm getting at here, it can start in a material that's breakable, but over time it's going to start to become like concrete. It's going to start to become stronger. It's going to start to become sturdier. So therefore, when you hit it, you're not gonna break through and go off the road. If you hit it, you're gonna crash right there. So therefore, we're trying to build a stronger guardrail. We're trying to build stronger boundaries. So therefore, when we get distracted or we get tempted, we already know better. So if we hit this, we're bouncing right back on track. It's not like we hit it and then we're losing, or we hit all the way to a whole nother path and we lose ourselves again, and then we're trying to find ourselves and start the whole thing over of trying to follow God's path. So I want us to continue our faith in God. I want us to continue to grow our relationship with God and continue the path that He has for us. Y'all heard me say this before. It's a lifelong journey. So therefore, it's not going to be an easy. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy at all. But it's a lifelong journey of discipline, obedience, and following the path that God has for you. So remember, these guardrails are here for us. They're meant to protect us. They're meant to protect us along our journey, right? We all have somewhere that we want to go. Some people don't want to go the path that God has for them. It's up to you what you want to do. But I'm saying for the people that want to, we're making our relationship with Him stronger. We're creating stronger boundaries, and we're also creating stronger guardrails. So as we go along our path to get into heaven, we're getting less distracted. When we make mistakes, it's easier for us to bounce back because we have built these guardrails to protect us from getting off track or losing ourselves entirely again. So we will no longer just completely lose ourselves. If we have been lost before, we had to be stripped of everything. Because I feel like God will strip us of everything in our life, and He will make you start over. Because sometimes that's what's needed in your life. God said, okay, you're gonna choose me. You're gonna choose me. And you say, okay, God, I'm gonna choose you. I trust your word. I believe everything. I believe the Bible. I believe your words, and I believe the calling that you have on my life. And God says, okay, well, I need to strip you. I need to strip you of everything that you've been doing in your life. I need to strip you down so you can start over, because you are so lost into the world right now. You need to be stripped and start over. And sometimes God would do that. But when you start over and you start taking His path, these guardrails will come up and they will become stronger. They become more sturdier, and they will become it would become a better path for you to take along your life. So it's all about what you want. Nobody can make this decision for you. Nobody can force your hand. Nobody can make you have a relationship with God. Doesn't matter how close your parents are with God. Doesn't matter how far away your parents are from God. It's up to you about the decision that you want to make with your life and who you want to believe in, where you think you're going after this world is over. Like, who is your God? Who is your God? So therefore, the decision is up to you. But I just want us to understand today that the further that you walk with God, the stronger these guardrails will be, right? The stronger, the more that you stay disciplined, the more that you stay obedient, the stronger these guardrails will get along your path. So therefore, it won't be so hard to bounce back when you get off track, and you won't really be able to get off track, right? You will, because you will be tempted, you will be distracted, but once you hit that guardrail, you're gonna bounce right back onto your road. So that's why I really wanted to speak to us about today, and it's just something just to think about. I'm not trying to force anybody. It was just a thought on my mind, and just something that you can maybe implement into your life. Right. So also, one more thing. I want to tell everybody that you guys heard me say this before, but as we go throughout this life, and as we have distractions, we have temptations, we have different paths, don't think that if you do wrong, it's an end all be all. Right. It's never too late to start a relationship with God. You're never too lost. Like, you're never too lost when it's just like, man, I have done so much in my life. It's no way that I can get a relationship with God now. Like, it's no way that I can even build a relationship. Yes, you can. But if you want it, don't be trying to get God just because, like, God, I need you right now. Oh, I messed up so bad in my life. God, I need you. If you really want a relationship with God, then you can seek that relationship with God and He will give it to you. But remember, you can't play with God, so don't play with Him. He knows your heart. He knows if you playing with Him. He knows if you just want to get out of a situation so you can go sin again and keep being led by the world and keep putting destruction into this world. That's not that's not the God we serve, right? The God we serve is for blessings, abundance, joy, everlasting, right? So therefore, if you're just trying to be a sinner or just keep sinning, putting destruction in this world, not trying to better your life, not trying to better the people around you, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your life? But by all means, if that's what you want to do, you do it. But at the same time, if you're gonna make a relationship with God and if you really want to build a relationship in God and seeking Him, then come to Him as you are. Don't try to force yourself. Don't try to change your looks. Don't try to change anything. Come as you are, because that's how He's gonna accept you and that's how He's gonna want you. So just continue to build that relationship, continue to grow, and I just want you to think about what you want out of life, and remember that when you start to take His path in life, there are going to be guardrails, there are going to be boundaries, so you can stay obedient and you cannot be led by distractions or temptations, and that you can continue down the road and path that He has laid for you to get into heaven, because that is our goal. Don't forget the goal. We're on earth, but don't forget where you're trying to go. Everybody has a different destination. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different destination. But for the people that are having the same destination that I'm trying to get to, don't forget our goal. Stay obedient. We're going to be led by temptation, but don't let them temptations take over your whole world. Make a mistake, get better from it. Don't make a mistake, and the same mistake, same mistake, same mistake over and over again. All right? Can't keep doing that expecting a different result. You got to make that change, right? So hope you guys learned something or just, got something to think about today. But just remember, the topic for today was guardrails, and the more that you go on your path with God, the stronger those guardrails will get. The more obedient and the more that you will be not led by distractions and temptations. But it's up to you. What do you want out of life? Who is your God and where are you trying to get to in life? It's never too late to come to Him as you are. It's never too late to be the best version of yourself. It's never too late. Doesn't matter what you went through. Come as you are. You can change your life today, but the choice is yours. Topic of discussion, Miles Berry. We out.